Greetings. Here we have Bruce Armstrong and Betty Frick. We're volunteers with the Longmont Senior Computer Tech Center. We're associated with the Longmont Senior Center in Longmont, Colorado, and we volunteer helping seniors, primarily seniors. We're not seniors, you know. No,
I'm not.
No, I'm not either.
Okay.
But despite what my doctor tells me.
Or what my kids tell me and grandkids.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, we are producing a series of videos on some of the Google apps. We went through Google Docs, Google Sheets. Let me show you real quickly where we've been in case you jump into the middle of some of these things. Boy, now I can't even find it. So I have to do some tricky stuff here. There we go. And there's the document. And let me see if I can get my toolbar thing out of the way. The thing doesn't want to get out of the way, does
No.
it? Huh. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. We just finished doing one on creating a new slide presentation in Google Slides. And this video is going to address adding new slides and moving slides around, reordering them, making duplicates and that kind of thing. And then looking at some more creative formats for the slides that you may want to use for the specific application you're trying to do. So we touched on some of that in the previous video number 9, but here in video 10, we will be doing a little bit more. So that's where we are in the education presentation mode or whatever. So let me share a screen. And this screen has the video, or I should say the presentation slideshow that we played around with in the previous one. But I'm going to go back here, use the back button, and I'm going to go back and pull out another slideshow just to show you some things. Okay, this is one that I did on a Google Photos demonstration. And I can already tell you that if I look over at my, what I call these film strip over here on the left, which is one of the, when you go to the view menu, you can show the ruler, you can show the film strip, and you can show the speaker notes. You can uncheck those boxes if you don't want to see them. I mean, that's just something that I just wanted to bring that up. The ruler is the thing across the top here that gives you the, let me get the drop down out of the way. The little ruler thing that shows you the size of your slide. And the speaker's notes down here at the bottom is if you want, when you're given the slideshow, that helps you remember what you want to say on a specific slide or something. And then the film strips this thing over on the left. Now, what you can do once you have this film strip, I have quite a few slides in here, not a whole bunch of them. But in my experience, as you develop a slideshow, say it's a photo collage of the whole history of your family's upbringing or something like that. And you think your brother calls you and says, that uncle was born before that other aunt. So you need to switch those around. You need to move them around. Well, that's one of the good things about this film strip thing is that it's really easy with the old drag and drop. If you don't know how to do that, it's you hold down the left mouse button. And if we pick, say this, getting started, number 8, and I want to move it up one, I click the mouse and hold it down and it's selected. Then I can just move, as I start to move my mouse up, you see it moved up, and I moved it up and I changed the places for those 2 slides. So it's really easy to move things up. You can actually, I don't want to get too complicated, but I think if I go over here and I hit the, I think I can select more than one slide, but I can't remember how to do that.
You have to hold down the shift key,
I tried that, and let me see here.
but the control key.
No, that's a different thing. Typically, you're not going to take a whole bunch of them at a time and move them, but that's one thing is once you get a slideshow done, you can just throw a whole bunch of slides together, and then you can organize them when you get done and say, no, I need an introduction there, and oh no, what is it I'm going to do? And I can tell you that there's some things that at this point I kind of want to throw out something to Betty that she mentioned to me about the actual structure of what you put on a slide. Let's grab one of these that has a whole lot of words on it.
Okay.
Because I want her to give a person, you know, a sort of a suggestion that I agree with entirely what she was saying. So.
And what I had said to Bruce when we were getting ready to start this presentation was that the one message I would give people is to try not to get too many words on your slides. Especially if you are giving the presentation in person, that it would be a lot easier on the audience to look at just a few words like Google products, experience, or exposure. And then Bruce, now you could cut out a lot of words there by getting rid of the word Google in all of those. You could make a sub list of Chrome, and then underneath that Drive, and underneath that Docs, and so forth. So that, I think that would be a good idea, just to have that on one slide, and then go on to another slide and say photos, whatever you're going to do. Just minimize the number of words on there, because then you're likely to read that to them. And that's not, that's like reading a book to a kid, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They're adults. We can read it, and then they should just be listening to you talk about it.
That's exactly right. And that's one thing that you have to be careful of when you are giving a presentation, is you don't want people reading along with you, especially if you're messing up. Another thing you have to be aware of is that on this computer screen, you don't see how big it's going to look on the screen that the person watching it is doing it.
Sure.
Since we do many of our presentations over Zoom, I have a 36-inch screen here that I have all this stuff on, and it's very easy for me to read it. But if you've got an Apple iPad mini, it might not be as easy to read. So you have to remember that anyone's going to be looking at this in a different format, and do not make so many words on a slide that you're not going to be able to read it in a different environment.
Bruce, can I add one more thing? We
Sure.
can see on the bottom on the right where it says, do you use Google for searches? Okay. And I love the idea. That's what I think is so great about these tools, is that that's your script there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And it's there. I don't quite know how you show it to yourself. Actually, you can just print the script out sometimes. But
Right. That's typically the way you do it, is when you print the actual thing. If we go into the let's see if the print, I think it's under file.
yeah,
Or there's a printer thing here too. That's another way to do it. But when you go into the file print,
well, maybe it isn't there.
yeah, it is. It's way down at the bottom.
Control P, right?
And you want to do print settings, and it says, what do you want? One slide with notes, hide the background. And that's if, I've got pretty background. This is a place up in northern Colorado that in the fall, if you've ever seen the aspens
That's
change.
Lovely.
It's a little pond just near a place we used to own. And then you can go ahead, and here's a drop down here, one slide with notes. There's other options here. you can have a handout, 1 slide per page, a handout with 2 slides per page. You can do all kinds of stuff with how you want to print it. So that's just something you can keep in the back of your mind when you're managing a presentation. There's some things that I tend to put things up there for people to remember that are important on a slide, but I don't want to give them a book. And I don't want to necessarily leave out important stuff where if they wanted to make notes during the presentation. So this is more of a presentation kind of thing. Let me go back and do another one where we, if I can get back here, do the back button. And I'm going to pick a different, here's a presentation that actually was uploaded here. It's in PowerPoint format. And it's still in Power. If you look up here in the top, it's .pptx.
That's
which
what that
when I
means.
uploaded that, it keeps it in PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. And if I downloaded it, I can download it back as a PowerPoint. Anyway, this one has in it some interesting things, is that it has, let me find one of the slides here. This slide has an interesting thing. This, don't try to read it. It's very blurry, but there is a, this is actually filtering out fake news. And what this is there's a media bias chart that this group produces. They're a non-partisan group, and they pick all the different news sources, and they tell you whether they're left or right on a political bias and whether their accuracy is less or more reliable. And it's really handy if you wanted to pick, a thing, say, oh yeah, that's a left-leaning one, or that's a right-leaning one, or that's a fake news site, or something like that. But anyway, what I've got on this slide is a click here thing. And that, if I go into that slide, and I think I can edit that, explore, click. And I can't remember how this is doing it. Anyway, what I've got on there is that a shape that I inserted. You can, up here, you can take a shape, and I did an arrow, and I put an arrow in there, and I put some words in it. And then I made it so that when I click on that, oh, no, that's not what it is. Anyway, it has a website. It goes to a website.
Oh, I wonder if you put it in slideshow view and then clicked on it, if it would go.
That's what it is. That's right. Okay, if I go to slideshow and I start from the beginning and I get to that one, I'm just going to click through till I get to it. Okay, and notice when I move my mouse over it, it makes the little hand, which means that now I'm going to go to that site. And you just click on it, and you can go to the interactive bias chart. And I'll take a second here, but it'll show you.
Nice. Yeah.
They've improved it a lot since I put that picture up there. They've actually got pictures from all these places. And stuff.
Oh yeah, that is better.
So, which is kind of an interesting thing.
That's pretty cool, Bruce.
So you can do stuff, extra stuff on your slides. Now let me exit the slideshow and go to some of the other things that I have here. Here's one where I have over here on the left-hand side, I have a text box that has bullet points. I have a title, which is a text box. I have a picture that I had just inserted an image. I love this cartoon. George, come look at this. Looks like we got one of those fake news thingies again. And then down here, I have another text box where I have a footnote of the source that I got it from. So you can structure your PowerPoint page however you want. You know, here's the next one with a couple of pictures and a title, you know. I'm trying to see if there's any others that maybe if I go down to some of these others, there's a video, you know, and it's you put in a link to a video. So you can, you know, in your presentation, you can do a lot of external stuff, external files. You can bring up a Word document, you can bring up a PDF document or whatever you want from a click on your slideshow. So that's kind of that. I did point out that you can play around with not only the location of these, and I said you click on it, hold it, and you move it, and it'll move it up or down in the slideshow. You can, it's as easy as a drag and drop kind of thing. And you can, right now I've got almost all of these with a certain color and background. And I'd say, okay, now I can do the old right click trick, which I like. And I'm going to change the layout. Notice it's got title slide. Let's see if I can show it up there. It's got this one. And suppose I wanted to change it to this one.
That color is hard to handle.
It is disgusting.
Isn't it?
Yeah, yuck. So you can switch around your layouts and you can do just like Betty and I did and get repulsed by a particular one. You say that looked better. I know that looked better in the example than it did when you actually did it. So you can play around with these things. And my suggestion, this is kind of to what Betty said a little earlier, was don't get overwhelmed with colors and fonts and, you know, changing your fonts to, I mean, let's be really silly here and say, okay, I'm going to highlight this whole text box here and I'm going to go to format and I'm going to go to text and where is it? Maybe it's up the top here. Hold on a second. Layout, theme, background. Oh, I had them highlighted. Then they're not highlighted anymore. And I'm going to format the text.
Old.
Size, color, capitalization. I'm trying to find the font.
Oh, huh.
Format options. Maybe it's under that. Size and rotation. Okay, Bruce. Usually this is, oh, here it is up here. Okay, sorry, it's Arial. And let's find something really silly here. Let's pick
Pacifico, right?
Pacifico.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Now, how would you be able to read that if you were more than 10 feet away from it?
Hey, Bruce, I've got another suggestion. So for people who are watching this, you see the repetition of should I.
Yep.
Forget that. Put at the top big letters, should I, and then under each bullet point, at each bullet point, it should be answer this phone call, share this Facebook video, take this Facebook, because you get rid of all that repetition. Readers don't like to see that kind of repetition.
Well, this was a method in my madness when I gave this presentation a few years ago, is that I wanted to emphasize the should I.
Yeah, I know.
That people would continue to get that. So
I understand.
That's a little bit of the more complicated things of the slideshow. As we showed here, you can watch the slideshow by clicking on the slideshow, and we're going to get to that in the next video of how to structure that if you want to, if you were going to create a video of your slideshow or something like that. So that's pretty much all I have on this part. So any other suggestions or comments, Betty?
I didn't realize that you created this. This is a great slideshow.
It was a very pertinent subject about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I gave it 3 or 4 times to the senior groups, and it was an education on my part of how can you filter out fake news. So
yeah,
it was
really
a fun thing, and I actually ended up writing a book on how you can go from filtering it out yourself to convincing your best buddy that to discuss some of these things. And it uses the whole idea of high school debate team rules.
Oh, wow.
So
cool. I'd like to get a copy of that book.
All right, I will let you know. So, okay. Well, on to the next one.